Hello golfers. Today's post is a summary of my recent V1 Sports Tuesday Traces webinar. I will explain, based on the pressure traces of some elite golfers, the movements that they made and whether they were able to maximize the muscles they have for the movement that they made. First of all, try this. Stand on one leg and make a golf swing, and you will feel that the hip and torso muscles you use are all of that side of the body. So, if you put more pressure through, say, the right foot, the muscles on the right side of the body will be used because those muscles are able to gain greater purchase or traction off the ground to contract off of. Basically, one needs to put pressure through a foot for the muscles of that hip and that side of the torso to be more active. However, sometimes that pressure can be too much. If you stand so that your hip, knee and ankle joints of one side, say your right side, are directly over that foot, with perhaps 70% pressure through that foot, the center of mass of the thigh and leg are directly above the foot, and their weight adds to the pressure being exerted through that foot. This makes it more difficult for the trail sides muscles to act, to move the pelvis back towards target and to rotate it. And one further point on the subject of pressure through the feet in the golf swing, research has shown that from the top of the backswing, the trail side pelvic and torso muscles fire first and then the lead side muscles fire next. Given that background, what does Justin Thomas's pressure trace mean? The white dot indicates the center of pressure during each event of top, early downswing, late downswing, and impact. The number associated with it indicates the foot with the higher amount of pressure through it, which can be deduced by which side of the center line of the graph the white dot is on. The right side of the graph indicates the trail foot and the left side the lead foot. Here we can see that Justin has 70% pressure through his trail foot at the top of his backswing, which might restrict some trail side muscles from acting freely. Then at early downswing, when his lead arm is horizontal and his club shaft approximately perpendicular to that, he suddenly has 82% of his pressure through his lead foot. From then until impact, his pressure keeps shifting backwards towards his trail foot, mainly towards his trail toe. The early downswing shift seen in Justin and other skilled golfers happens because the central nervous system strives for dynamic balance, given that the raised trail side torso and trail hip have to drop down. The trail side torso must drop down so the club can be delivered to the ball correctly, and for that to happen, the lower body needs to move out of the way so that the club doesn't undershoot the ball as it would without the lower body shift towards target. The trail side of the pelvis has to drop down too so that it can rotate, as it requires to be horizontal in order to rotate efficiently. All this usually happens without a golfer being aware of their movements because it is dictated by the central nervous system, that is, the brain and the spinal cord. During the early downswing, Justin also kicks his trail foot off the ground, creating an unnecessary restriction at his trail hip joint and preventing easy pelvic rotation. Then by late downswing, his trail foot pushes the body up so that the hips can be level, and finally he has targetward pelvic rotation much later in his downswing, and it occurs around his trail hip joint. Of course, he is supremely athletic and his muscles do make use of the ground somehow, but he is not maximizing the use of first the trail side and then the lead side muscles by pushing through each foot in turn to maximize easily available power and have more consistent ball direction. One further important point is that when golfers have too much pressure through the trail foot, they might sometimes push the thigh forward without volition in order to get some of the pressure off that leg, and this can result in a mishit. You can see that in a fade, which is his stock shot, or a slice, the sole of his shoe is visible, whereas it is not visible when he has hooked or shanked a shot. This kicking of the foot forwards can be seen in many pro golfers when they shank a shot. The pressure trace of Greg Avray is more traditional. His pressure shifts quickly to his lead side at early downswing, once again to allow the raised trail side torso to drop down, and the pressure continues to shift forward until late downswing. He does have a bit of a backup close to impact, and it might be in order to harness the muscles of the lead side that rotate the pelvis, which need pressure to be in the right position so they can fire off the lead foot easily. Now, a unique pressure trace is produced by the minimalist golf swing. A set of circumstances is created that allow pressure to be slightly forward of center at the top, after which it shifts very slightly to the trail side by early downswing. It then keeps moving forward through the down and forward swings in a straight line, thus using muscles of first the trail side and then the lead side. In conclusion, there are three important takeaways to consider. Firstly, try to not have too much pressure through either foot, especially through the trail foot during the backswing. Second, find torso positions that allow you to use the muscles of both sides in turn and in the order of trail before lead. This is especially important as the relevant muscles of pelvic lateral movement and rotation and of torso rotation of the trail side are larger and have longer moment arms and can thus add more force to the swing when used in the early part of the downswing. Thirdly, instead of having to consciously push here and push there during the downswing to increase pressure into the ground, a better way to do it might be to position pressure where it will be most beneficial from setup to top of backswing. Tap dancing across the pressure mat like Fred Astaire, as some elite players do, might not give them ideal results. Think of it like a drive-through versus a drive-by swing. With the former, you'll surely collect what you've already paid for, but in a drive-by, you keep moving and just hope for the best.